Hello and welcome to Do You Remembaer, an ongoing video series where every week I take a look at something from the internet, an article somewhere, often Wikipedia. I do my best to remember what I just read in that article, and then I convey that information to you so that you may be entertained and maybe a little educated. And today I am talking about sliced bread. That's right, sliced bread. And I'll explain why I came up with this particular idea of looking that up on Wikipedia and reading the Wikipedia article about that. In a moment, but I have to say the name of the inventor of the machine that sliced bread because it will escape my brain. Otto Frederick Rowetter. Or Rowetter? Rowetter. I think it was double D, not double E. Okay. I know it's Otto Frederick Rowetter. In the comments below, let me know if I got that right or not. Because you can find in the comments the link to the article, and then you can read the article, and you can be like, Pat, according to my research, you're wrong. Anyway, this is he started working on it in like 1918, 1919, something like that. But there was a fire, so that goes away. But by 1928, he's like, I got my prototype. It's done. I'm going to have a bread company make some sliced bread by a machine. Because before that, you had to slice, you get your loaf and you slice it by hand as needed. Um, and and this is just like, hey, it's 1928. We should be able to buy sliced bread, a pre-sliced bread. Anyway, so this machine does it. You can see here kind of what's going on there. And there are later innovations. A machine using cardboard to help keep the bread separated, or to at least to separate, but also together in a loaf, so that you can then wrap it with a machine instead of wrapping it by hand. Wonder Bread, which had been a company since 1925, gets involved by 1930. They're distributing. There are a bunch of different companies. Battle Creek, Michigan is like, we are the first people to sell bread using a machine. But then research of the time says, no. It's a place in Missouri. But both use this guy's machine. And this is a photo from St. Louis. It may be one of his machines or a copy. They actually don't know. But it's cool to look at, so I included it. Anyway, everyone's getting excited about it. Within a couple of years, 80% of bread sold in the United States is pre-sliced bread, or we're just going to keep calling it sliced bread. But you know what I mean when I say sliced bread in this context. And it's very popular. The UK kind of starts getting involved. Other countries get involved in their own ways. So over the years, it's a big deal. It's such a big deal that in 1943 it gets banned, which is a thing I didn't know about until I read this article, so I'm glad I did, because this is fun. For the war effort, so in January of 1943, the FDA is just like, hey, it's not the federal drug, it's like the food and, I don't even know if it's food and drug at that time, but whatever. It is the food, people. I'm going to say FDA here. I might be wrong. Let me know in the comments. But basically, they're like, well, it costs more money and uses more materials to wrap pre-sliced bread and package it than it does just a loaf. So stop doing it. And then LaGuardia, the then mayor of New York, is like, hey, what about all these like small bakeries that have their own bread slicers? Can't they sell pre-sliced bread? Like that's not like that. There's people who are just taking that home. It's not being distributed. And then the response to that is no, because it's anti-competitive. It's giving the smaller companies an advantage over the larger companies who have to abide by this rule, which seems to be a little backwards, but also seems very fucking American in 1943 to be like, no, the little guy doesn't get a leg up. There will be repercussions if they keep slicing their own bread. And of course, there's like housewives are writing in saying, oh, it's costing us so much time and energy, and oh, this was so convenient. And then in March of 1943, they're like, all right, we're taking back the ban. And it was assumed to be because of public outcry, because people were just like, this is ridiculous. But most likely it was honestly because they looked at it and realized that money and materials were not being saved. It didn't really do much. And also, not every company was using wax paper, but if it is used wax paper, it was negligible for everybody. So just do that, and then everyone gets their sliced bread. Um, and that's as far as I know, my research by reading a Wikipedia article, that is the only time that sliced bread has ever been banned in the United States. And it wasn't for health reasons, it was, the war effort, quote unquote. Now, why am I talking about this article? This is not an Wikipedia article. I was chatting with a friend about jokes we heard over and over again in our line of work. For those that are watching this, I assume everyone that's watching this knows me, but maybe you don't. Maybe you just clicked on, you just got a recommendation, you're reading this. But I am a tech person for comedy shows, so I do lights and sound for comedy. I don't do it right now, but I did it for many, many years. And if you do comedy shows, a lot of the same people come through, especially stand-up shows. You've seen a lot of the same people working on material, working on material. So a joke that is embedded in my head that involves sliced bread is a joke by Kumail Nanjiani. Early joke by Kumail. It was on. I think he eventually ended up on like a premium blend when they brought that back, but whatever. It's old. And it goes about Kumail going to Coney Island and not wanting to ride the Cyclone, the world's oldest wooden roller coaster. He's like, no, 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 no. That's too old of a thing for me to get on. You know the expression, greatest thing since sliced bread, which of course is a common expression that, it's generally about inventions because sliced bread was such a game changer that this is now the next big thing since that incredible invention. You get it. And he goes, you know the expression, the greatest thing since sliced bread. The Cyclone is older than that expression, which is true. And then he goes on to talk about how, like, the Cyclone is from 1927, which is 1 year before sliced bread was invented, before you could say. So it's not even the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the last great thing since sliced bread, before sliced bread or whatever. And that's how old it is. And he had other stuff about Coney Island and that Cyclone ride, but that stuck in my head when I was talking to a friend about jokes that live in our heads. And there are other examples, but that's nothing to do with sliced bread, and it's just me repeating other people's jokes in a way that isn't as funny, because that it never is. But that's always stuck with me. Just be like, the Cyclone is older than sliced bread, which is also how I remember the dates of 1928 for the invention of sliced bread, popularization of the machine that slices bread, and 1927 being the year that the Cyclone in Coney Island was completed. So there you go. A weird way for me to want to look it up, but also I have to do these weekly, and sometimes I just get inspired in odd places. Occasionally I just hit the random button on Wikipedia until I get something that sticks to me, but other times it's just like things I want to look up and then hopefully are interesting for you. And I hope this was. Leave a comment below, a link to something on Wikipedia you'd like me to look up and do some hastily gathered research on, what I can try to remember. And if you found this helpful or interesting, if you have a link to Kumail telling that joke, I didn't look for one and I won't. But if you want to, you can. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next Do You Remembaer. Bye-bye.